Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. And what are we talking about this time? Well, Square Enix has announced declining financial results. So Square Enix had they announced their financial results for the first 9 months of the fiscal year. That's between the period of April to December of 2022. Sales were down 6.6% year on year. That's in yen. That it was down. Operating income was down 17.6% year on year. So looking at the digital entertainment unit, which includes video games, net sales were 184,380 million, down 12.9% year on year, while operating income was also down 21.6% year on year. Sales of HD games failed to reach the level of a previous year despite the launch of multiple new games such as Nier Replicant and Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, Outriders, and stuff like that. So they just didn't generate the sales number. Those games didn't generate the sales that they had in the previous year. Of course, they had a drop in their MMO segment, which, that happens with MMOs. They kind of go up and down, especially they tend to go up when new releases come out. But Final Fantasy 14, the last one was, I think last year before last, I can't remember. So they haven't had any new expansions come out soon. So of course, that's going to dip down as players have played through the expansion. Walker was the last one. So as people have played through the expansions and, that kind of dies off for a little bit. Smartphone and browser games also suffered from peak performance of existing titles, contributing to the declines in the sales. That being said, though, Square Enix has multiple new titles planned, including titles that features new IPs for their HD games segment. While no expansions are planned for their MMO in the short term, of course, I'm sure they will have an expansion at some point. But, Final Fantasy 14 continues to bring out new content all the time. And as for browser and smartphone games, the company has additional titles slated for the launch of fourth quarter and beyond. So, they didn't do very well. I mean, the thing about Square, they didn't do as well as previous, I should say. I mean, they still they still did good. They just didn't do as good as they previously had. But Square Enix has been going through a strange time, right? They sold off a lot of their Crystal Dynamics and a lot of the titles that they had, like Deus Ex and Tomb Raider and all that stuff, and they sold that off to Embracer, and they've been they haven't brought anything out in this, but they've been talking still about wanting to do NFTs and shoot, I even forgot the name of it now. Bit something,
blockchain.
Whatever. Yeah, blockchain. There you go. Man, it's been so long. Like everyone's forgotten about that crap. Me too, apparently, because I can't even think of what it was. NFT and blockchain games and stuff like that. They're just going down the wrong route with things, right? Square Enix has a lot of great franchises and a lot of great potential to make some awesome games, but they just been seeming to take a back seat to things, or just not really concentrating a lot on what made them great to begin with, right? What made them a great publisher and development studio to begin with, right? They seem to be wanting to go down, and a lot of companies, I noticed a lot of gaming companies seem to, not all of them, but a lot of the big ones seem to go through this. And Ubisoft is a prime example of this. They want quick cash with little to do, right? So they want to be able to do little and make a lot, right? And it's, Ubisoft has been trying to go down this route now for a couple of years, and Square Enix has followed suit with them, and they have come to find out, and Ubisoft for sure has come to find out that ain't working so well for them. And I think the same is going for Square Enix here. These companies need to really think about what they're doing and why they're successful, and focus on that, and stop trying to follow a trend or make a quick buck, right? They tried to follow the NFT and blockchain trend, but that trend has died out, right? And you still have places like Ubisoft and like Square Enix that are still trying to follow that trend that's pretty much killed off at this point, right? The amount of people interested in it has died down significantly. I mean, it's still around. It's just not, we don't talk about it anymore, right? No one's interested anymore in it. So, except for those diehard people that may be interested in that stuff, but most people aren't, especially in the gaming atmosphere, right? Maybe in other things, but in gaming, the gamers are just not interested in that stuff. And Square Enix needs to stop selling off their franchises and things like that and really get back in tune with what they do best. And then I think with that, they'll come out on top. But lately, they've been making a lot of bad choices, trying to get on not just with the NFTs and blockchains, but also live service games, right? Square Enix has proven itself that it cannot make a live service game or pay someone to make a live service game for them that is going to succeed. So they need to, reevaluate the games that they make, not make live services, don't follow the NFT and blockchain route, and their sales might end up being better than they were expecting. But I think they've just been playing around too much with trying to do other things for some stupid reason, following trends and stuff like that. They need to stick with what they're good at, which is making great RPGs and other various games that they make. Just stick with what you know. That's what we love Square Enix for, is those RPG games, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, and all the different one-off RPG games that they've made in the past and made in the future, in the present here. And just continue doing that, right? And you'll be okay. Your games sell themselves, right? Really, you make a really good RPG and they sell themselves. So just keep doing that, and I think you'll be good to stop following these trends. But let's go around and see what everybody thinks. Pat, what do you think of this whole ordeal with Square Enix?
Yeah, they made, especially over the course of the last year, they made some blunders, like the selling off of Crystal Dynamics and Eidos and a bunch of titles, and some popular titles and a bunch of back catalog stuff too. Getting rid of the Tomb Raider franchise and Deus Ex and Thief and Legacy of Kain and I think I've read 50 other games for $300 million. That seems like piddly crap, in these days. But, to basically throw it blockchain and freaking NFTs, and they might as well just flushed it down the toilet, because that's what they did. They flushed that $300 million down the toilet with that. I am kind of excited to hear about them saying that they're planning multiple new games this year, this fiscal year for theirs, and including a new IP. I wonder what that new IP is. It's just, I don't know. I feel bad for them, because to me, they are great storytellers, and they've got a knack for it. But they're also, to me, it seems like they're more in game these days to just publish other people's stuff rather than than developing their own thing. Because it's been a while. It seems like it's always been a while since we get a new game from them. I know they're making a new Dragon Quest, a new Kingdom Heart, and they're doing Rebirth. Rebirth is coming out, right? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming out. And then we're supposed to get Final Fantasy 16 this year. So, there's a good plethora of games that are coming, but the stuff, I don't know. They just seem to get too mixed up in some of this other stuff. I don't know. And it worries me with them. It's like, just do what you guys are really good at. Make great RPGs. Play around with some other stuff. Nobody's saying don't put out this new IP or anything. I'm not saying that by any means. And you're allowed to make mistakes with gaming. But you guys bought into the whole blockchain and NFT thing after every freaking gamer in the market was like, you could just jump off a bridge. We don't want this. And they're like, we're going to buy it and do that. Because that's basically what they did. They just basically took their belongings, chunked them off the side of the bridge to another group, and just said, we're going to invest in NFTs with this money and blockchain. And that's going nowhere fast, except for straight down. So I don't know. I don't get the direction, because when they made that announcement, it was like, was it March or May of last year? One of those, March or May. I get those confused sometimes on when they announced the whole, they sold off their studios and stuff. And they're like, we're going to invest in blockchain and NFTs. They were already on the decline. The blockchain and NFT stuff has been on the decline for almost a year now. And they're like, we're going to invest in this. Okay. Got the wrong side of the chart on that one, didn't they? So it hurts them. I mean, their loss in revenue is their declining revenue is staggering, to be honest with you, to look at this. A percentage loss like that, like 17.6% down. That is massive, especially at their size. Like I said, it's 255 million yen. And then, losing a bunch of operating income, losing 41.3 or having an increase of 41.35 million yen. They're just, I don't know, guys. I really hope that they are going to pull out of it. They're too large for this to be anything more than a nuisance to them right now. I mean, it's not like they're not making money. Square Enix itself is making a lot of money. It's just, I don't know what their gaming division's problem is. They're going down the wrong path, and I hope they self-correct. I mean, I don't know if they've reported I think they reported their earnings for last year, and they made like 365 billion yen. So, I mean, they're making money. They're not going bankrupt or anything like that. But we are entering, especially in the United States, we are in a recessive time. And it shows because if you look at their numbers, a lot of the revenue loss appears to be from their North American market. From some of the graphs and charts that they show off in the article. I was just trying to find one of the specifics that talked about like downloads. Yeah, here's a good one. The digital entertainment units sold by country. This time last year, they had 22.68. I think this is in millions. Yeah, 22.68 million units sold in North America alone this year. Less than half of that, 10.43 million units sold. So, I mean, that's in North America. That is one of their largest markets right now. This country is one of their largest markets because we love this stuff that Square Enix puts out. We love JRPGs. We love all the Eastern RPG style of telling stories. We just love it. And a lot of it has not been available here, and it's becoming more popular. Because if you look at the same thing, and this is like disc and downloads, if you look at the same thing for like, let's say Japan, last year they did 3.6 million units sold compared to 22.68 in North America. And then, and you look at this year, their quarter one to quarter three earnings this year, Japan's up, went from 3.6 million units to 4.12 million units. So they're increasing in their own backyard, but outside of that, they're decreasing. It's because, like I said, North America is in a recessive stance right now. Things are more expensive. People's buying power is less, and we're getting a lot of pushes in games. And they just have, quite frankly, what did they put out? That's what I'm trying to think of. What would they put out that they think is going to be a huge seller? Were they really thinking that Harvestella was going to be a big push game? What is it? Valkyrie Elysium and stuff like that. I mean, the stuff that they even publish, are they expecting those to be like gangbuster making money for them? Because I don't know. I mean, I've been looking forward to a few of their games that just aren't out yet. I mean, I'm looking forward to the Final Fantasy 16, but that's not out yet. I'm trying to think what came out that was really super exciting last year. So
Forspoken. Oh, I mean, that just came out recently.
But they only Luminous developed that.
Yeah,
it's a subsidiary. It's a subsidiary of them. So I mean, it's just kind of weird. Forspoken's not doing well. The demo kind of ruined that. It's not doing that great for them. Crisis Core came out. I didn't play that one, but they just published that. They didn't develop that one. I didn't play Tactics Ogre. I don't know about you guys, the Reborn one. So I'm looking at stuff that's like super, super awesome of 2022, and I'm just not finding a whole lot of it. That's what I would consider a big sell. They flopped on publishing Babylon's Fall, so they lost money on that one, right? Even though they didn't develop that one, they still fronted the money for Platinum Games to do that one. They flopped. It seems almost like Forspoken is kind of in the same vein, but that was a great game. I just do not know. I can't think of anything in 2022 that Square Enix put out that I was just super stoked for. I don't know. What about you, Shane? Like, what came out? Can you think of anything in 2022 that came out that you were just like, I had to play this? Like Final Fantasy 16, gotta play when it comes out. That's how I'm thinking. Like, I'm not gonna miss it, even if it's getting bad reviews. I'm still gonna play it.
Final Fantasy VIII HD remaster. It's a winner every year.
Except for it didn't come out last year.
Every year it comes out on my console.
Yeah, I bet it does.
It's you're absolutely right. Crisis Core was fantastic. It really was. It as short as it was a really good game. Problem is it's not a game that really pushes to a lot of people. The PSP version, or it was PSP or PSV. It was PSP, I think. When it came out, was like 500,000 or something like that copies sold on it. I'm not sure what they're pushing right now. It hadn't been out that long for the remaster, the Crisis Core Reunion, but it was fantastic. But I didn't even think about this game, since the announcement, till Nick said, "Hey, I got this." I'm like, oh, really? I didn't even realize it came out. So Square Enix has got some of the greatest IPs in the world, but they really don't know what they're doing right now. I mean, you're absolutely right. They've got somebody making decisions that should really not be making decisions for them. I mean, as a gamer, I see things differently than a businessman. Obviously, as a gamer, I know what I want to see come out. I know what I want to play as a gamer. But as a businessman, you'd think you would want to put out what the gamers want. Gamers don't want blockchain. Gamers don't want NFTs. Gamers don't. We don't. We just talked about remakes just a bit ago for Resident Evil, but they can't rely on those. Crisis Core was a great game, but they can't rely on those because that's, especially games like that, that was not a huge game because it was made for a portable device that was still fairly fresh back in the 2007, something like that. So they've really got to they've got to look at what works though, really, because we all played Guardians of the Galaxy. It did not sell well, but the reviews on it were amazing. From not just us, but from the overall, everybody enjoyed it. From really liked it to loved it. If I remember correctly, I know this crew loved it. We had a few issues with it, but overall, I mean, we all really just praise this game. They need to take risks like this more often, honestly. But I can't remember the sales on it, but they said that the sales were kind of a failure, but they sold a crap ton. I think it was like 6 million they were shooting for, and they
shot
like
that studio over to Embracer, so that was an EDO's game.
Yeah.
But it was in 2021 before they sold them, but still.
Yeah. That's the things they need to do, because it was a game that wouldn't have expected from this company at all. And it was very gun shy. And that was the problem, is they put out that damned Avengers game that just ruined that taste for everybody. I mean, that was like, hey, we took a dump in your mouth, but we've got Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's like, no, I just took a Tic Tac and I don't want that taste again. That's what a lot of gamers said. I was gun shy on it because of the Avengers. But luckily, we barreled through, reviewed it, loved it. Chances like that are what companies have to take sometimes. They're not always going to work out, but you can't just rely on your staple, but you can't give up on your staple either. Getting rid of Tomb Raider, out of all those that they sold to Embracer, Tomb Raider would be the one that they should be slapping themselves in the head for. Because if I remember correctly, the reboot has been doing fantastic. All three of them have been doing amazing. So, and then just to, wipe their butts with it and flush it down the NFT toilet, That was freaking stupid. NFTs are dead, people. I mean, they are. People still buy them. Values on those things go down super fast. There was those ones sold a while back, $100 each. We're only making 100 of them or something like that, and they lost like 112% value in a month. I mean, that stuff is not worth putting your money in. I don't. Do you guys know of any other game developers or publishers, anybody right now that is hitting the NFT blockchain thing as hard as Square Enix?
Ubisoft is smashing it with their face, but you know.
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, they're not making any progress. So, but yeah, I mean, the only time I hear about NFTs or blockchain is when we talk about Ubisoft or Square Enix. I mean, you don't hear about it anymore from hardly anybody. You know, granted, that's not in my what I listen to range. So, I mean, there's probably people out there with podcasts and, you know, YouTube channels dedicated to NFTs and blockchains. That's not in my repertoire. I'm not going to get into that because that's a BS scam, in my opinion. I mean, I can buy nothing with real money. So, no, thank you. But I mean, I've got the cure for what Square Enix needs. Final Fantasy VIII HD Remaster 2. Or just do a straight remake. I'll be good with it either way. So, they have such great franchises and they're just pissing things away. And it is heartbreaking because we've been seeing a lot of the game developers we really like do this to themselves. Not to this extent though. Square Enix, when they put their foot up their ass, they put it in deep. We're talking all the way to the knee. So.
Well, let's hope these games that are going to come out this year and the new games that the new IP they're developing is going to be great because Forspoken is a good game. Is it perfect? No. Is it bad? No. Is it amazing game you've ever played? No. It's good game. It is a good game, and it's got its quirks and its weird things to it, but it's good. Anybody who is on the fence about it and loves RPG should just check it out. I mean, the hardest thing for me being an RPG fan to get over was the whole parkour style stuff. But it's the parkour, in my opinion, isn't that more in depth. It's really good for combat and dodging and stuff like that. But, you know, the problem is that everybody is so gun shy with Square Enix here lately. I mean, I will be the first to admit I liked their whole Marvel game that they came out with. I liked it. I just couldn't get anybody else to play with me.
Guardians? No, the Avengers.
The Avengers game. I liked it. Nobody wanted to play with it. But it was a micro.
Play by yourself?
No, because I want to play with my friends.
There you go.
Because I like running around as a superhero party and doing stuff like that and running around as a group. It's got its place. But there's microtransaction the hell out of it to where it's like, okay, whatever.
You didn't pay the $14 to take off Thor's helmet? For 24, you take off his pants. Oh,
man. Ladies out there might like that. But it's not for me, you know. I mean, I liked it, but just not for me solo. But I like Square Enix. I like what they've done, and I think they have huge potential. They just need to get the train back on the tracks and get rid of this NFT blockchain junk that they're trying to do and move on. It wasn't profitable. They couldn't figure out how to execute it and make a profit, I should say. And just move on. And that's what I think they need to do. And I mean, they're advertising the crap out of Forspoken. Let me just put it into perspective. Forspoken is a good game, but you know what? It's getting beat in downloads by Hi-Fi Rush. That game was a silent announcement game. And I'm sorry, but there's no reason that should be happening.
It's a good game. I'm currently playing it.
I mean, Hi-Fi Rush is half the cost, a little under half the cost. I think it's a $30 game versus a $70 game.
It's Game Pass. That's the other reason.
For us, it's Game Pass, but I'm going by like Steam numbers because Xbox and Sony don't report their numbers. So looking at like Steam stats, it's outpacing the number of units sold, not the amount of revenue because it's a half the cost game. But it's selling more units than that game is. And to me, that says something. A game that was stealth released is selling more games than your AAA title game. You know, and that's a problem. And it has nothing to do with advertisement. It has to do with the crappy demo you did, and I don't know what else, because I'm not a marketing genius or anything. But your demo did it disjustice, and that commercial for Forspoken is everywhere on TV, on the internet. I see the Forspoken commercial every day. To this day, I still see it. So it's you guys have spooked your fan base, and they're really afraid of anything new you're putting out there. Guardians was really bad. What was that other one? They just published the other one that really went. Babylon's Fall. That was did they publish that one? Yeah, they published that one.
Yeah, published that one. But Guardians was good though. I think
Guardians was. I'm talking Avengers. Sorry.
Okay.
Avengers, but Guardians didn't do well enough because they didn't really advertise the crap out of that game. We saw it at one of the game award things. I was like that. I was worried. I was like, man, I don't like the looks of the characters. But then we played it, and I loved it. Loved the game. Loved the crap out of it. But they're spooking their fans, and I don't know. I don't know what the fix is for it. Like I said, Forspoken was a good game. Advertise the crap out of the game, what they have, and it still isn't selling very well. And I don't know why.
Well, Outriders was another one of those games that was not great, but it was damn good.
Me and Nick beat it and played through some of the in-game content. We did not play the expansion, though.
No, it was a fun run-through game. And I think you're right, Pat. I think people are just gun-shy from it. Final Fantasy VII Remake sold really well. But if you compare that to all the other games they're pushing out, it's the only one that's really selling well. I also think they're one of their big problems is they expect this in the real world. They're only going to get this no matter how good that game is. They
oversell themselves in their own games is what's going on. They're huffing their own brand a little too much.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. They need to right their ship. They need to correct what they're doing. And I agree with you, Patrick. I think they are scaring some of their fan base and some of the people that would normally pick up their games because they've burnt them so bad on other titles, right? I think Shane's exactly right with Guardians, that Guardians didn't do well because Avengers did bad. Avengers was bad. And and so people were Patrick didn't think that. I thought the game was bad. But anyway, to each their own. But otherwise, Avengers did bad and put a bad taste in people's mouths. And so when Guardians came out, they were really reluctant to pick up and play Guardians. And I think that's what ultimately hurt Guardians, even though Guardians ended up being a really awesome game. And I think we all had our reservations thinking, they're going to do the same things that they did with Avengers with Guardians. And they didn't. I even liked Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a great game. I loved it. So yeah. And, looking at the games that came out, releases in 2022, I mean, there was a lot of them were re-releases of older games. And the problem you have with that is, or redos, not like necessarily re-releases, like just HD remasters, what they do call HD remasters, but some of them were remakes or really done well editions of older games, not like the Final Fantasy VII remake, but some of their other ones. But I think the problem you have with that is that only gets to a niche market, right? I'm going to go buy it because I'm a Square Enix fan and I played all these games when I was younger. Nostalgia trip, right? And like, oh, cool. This one's coming back out again. They're redoing it. I'm going to go buy that. But that's me, a new player, or someone like Pat that maybe hasn't played that before, is going to go, and not purchase it because it's a re-release of something that's already been out before, right? And so they really released a lot of games that were the fans would like to replay, and people that knew those games would love to replay, but it's not going to bring new people into those games, right? Hopefully it does, because there's some really good releases there, but it just doesn't, right? So yeah, I mean, hopefully this year we have Final Fantasy 16. I think that's going to be a big release for them. and they got their new IP. They got some of the other ones Pat mentioned that I for some reason can't think of. I know they have a new Dragon's Quest, but I don't think that's coming out this year. The full line, they did come out with Dragon Quest Treasures not too long ago. And I don't know how that, only for the Switch. I don't know how well that did. But I knew Dragon Quest, the mainline series, they did announce that, I think, a couple of E3s ago, but we haven't heard anything since then. I guess the biggest game for me that came out was probably I mean, they had a lot of awesome ones, but Star Ocean, and I love Star Ocean. Star Ocean was really great,
and that's just their published though, right? That's not a development.
Yeah,
game.
It's I think Triace developed that.
Yeah,
one,
so.
Yeah. So yeah, they're only publishing that, but as far as themselves, they just got Crisis Core and which I have Crisis Core and stuff like that. But again, that applies to those people that played, me and Shane played Crisis Core back in PSP back in the day. So of course we're going to pick up the remake, but for other people, they may not, right? Because they're just not familiar with it. And
I
they're
didn't
just
get
like, I'll wait for the next, Final Fantasy VII part 2 of that and not really mess with Crisis Core. So it's only going to affect or position to those people who are fans of that stuff, who grew up playing those games and stuff like that. But the newer people, I just don't think it's going to bring in. So that could definitely hurt them with sales and stuff like that. But, we'll see what happens. Hopefully Square Enix rights the wrongs, because I love what Square Enix makes. They make a lot of great games and they have a lot of great partners that they publish. So, quit doing stupid things. Okay. Get off the NFT. Just take it from Ubisoft. Don't do a Ubisoft, Square Enix. You don't want to do a Ubisoft. The Ubisoft has dug themselves a hole and they keep digging, thinking that they'll eventually hit the bottom. They will. It's like they're digging through the earth and they're just eventually going to pop out on the other end. They're just digging their hole. And then Square Enix is like, I can dig a bigger hole. It's like, no, don't do that. Ubisoft's doing it for everybody. They're digging a big enough hole that everybody can fit in. So just don't be them. Don't be a Ubisoft. So yeah, I hope they fix their stuff and get on the right track with things, because I do love Square Enix as a company and want them to continue to succeed because I love their games. So don't do stupid stuff. Do you guys have anything else you want to add to this?
Nope.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks everybody for watching. Let us know down in the comments below. What do you think? What do you think of Square Enix with their sales down? Do you think they're making the right choices by selling off some of their big franchises and putting that money towards NFT and blockchain? Excuse me. Or are they stupid? Are they following Ubisoft's lead? And they said, hand me a shovel, Ubisoft. I'll dig with you. Let us know down in the comments below what you think. And, what game in 2022 from Square Enix was your favorite? Let us know down in the comments. They did come out with a lot of re-release of, upgraded versions of the games and stuff, and some new games. But let us know down there what was your favorite from last year. Other than that, thanks for watching. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already. Make sure you hit that bell notification to stay updated with new videos that we do all the time. We'll see you next time.
See ya.